Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for coming to the Sugar House Community Council. We understand if you're watching the vice presidential debate, feel free to get out of this at any time. I want to welcome Derek and Devin to the virtual table. Can we approve the September meeting minutes, please? Can I get a motion?
Vote to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Second.
Thank you. I'm assuming all approved. I
Aye.
just did them today. We've asked Tim Cosgrove, Detective Bishop, and Councilwoman Amy Fowler to
Right.
take the night off tonight.
Oh.
Will's worked really hard at getting a lot of election candidates here, so they'll be here starting at 8 o'clock for the back half of the meeting to introduce themselves, and Will will run that. Just a couple of announcements. The old DI building in Sugar House will not be used as a temporary overflow homeless shelter this winter. They're looking at other options in the county, but she wanted to hold to her promise. Allen Park is now open during the daylight hours, 7 days a week. It's pretty awesome if you haven't been through there yet. The Capital Improvement Program, the CIP, is now accepting applications. It runs through October 30th. This is a program that worked with constituent requests ranging from hawk lights to curb and gutter replacement. We'll send out some more information to everybody to talk about that, but it ends October 30th, so the window's pretty tight. We heard yesterday that Salt Lake City is going to move back to orange, it sounds like, on Friday because of the increase in cases.
Was that approved by the governor?
I don't know yet. I'll text Tim while we're going through the new trustees we're introducing tonight, and I'll see what he says. Will that change for you, Jer? Sports and everything at Highland?
Yeah, that will change quite a bit. Currently with us under yellow, we're able to like host events. If we go back to orange, we will no longer be allowed to host events.
Okay, I'll check here in a sec. We have 3 more trustees joining us tonight, so each one will have a couple minutes to talk about themselves. Yvonne Martinez, you want to talk about yourself? Do you see her, Brandon?
Yeah,
She took to a lot of committee meetings. She's been pretty involved for a long time. She lives down by Mike Bagley.
Oh, hi. I'm excited to join this committee. This is a great neighborhood. It has so much diversity. It's so eclectic. Everything is walkable. It's the only neighborhood like that in the entire state. So I'm excited to be a part of the neighborhood and a part of the community council. Thank you.
We're just going to approve all 3 of them at the same time. So she's going to represent the Garfield neighborhood. Let's go with Maggie.
Hi, my name is Maggie. I've lived in Sugar House for 4 years now, and I'm really passionate about the intersection of urban planning and public health. And I'm a big fat nerd, so I'm really excited to be here.
Tell us what you do at Westminster.
Oh yeah, I work as the manager of alumni engagement for Westminster College. So yeah, and I'm involved on the advancement team, and we're working on like a Sugar House business connection college town sort of thing, which I'm really bad at explaining right now. But more information will be coming probably on that soon, so that'll be really exciting as well.
You know, that's exciting because we had something like that going a few years back.
With Annalisa Holcomb.
Yeah,
Yes.
she was on the council and we had a lot going on. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Annalisa has moved on, but you have me now, so.
And Maggie, would you say again what your title is or what you do at Westminster? The name?
Manager of alumni engagement.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you. She's going to represent the Emerson neighborhood. And then finally, we have Sherry Jensen.
So Maggie lives in Emerson.
Yep.
Welcome. I'm Emerson, Maggie.
So this is Sherry Jensen. She's going to represent Highland Park. Go ahead, Sherry. Uh-oh.
Is she here?
Yeah, she's trying to talk, but it's mute. She's not muted, right, Brandon?
No.
She is now.
Oh, there you go. No.
Maybe she needs to unmute her own screen.
You're giving us Zoom lessons now?
Don't be smart.
Sherry just moved here from Florida. We'll just approve her through the chat. She's done a good job. I talked to her on the phone for a while the other day. Oh, she's gonna try another device.
And Highland Park needs a rep.
Yeah. Willis, can we confirm all three? And if she can talk, we'll let her.
Yeah, that sounds good, Landon. I'd
Okay.
like to motion to accept all three petitions from the
What we
petitioners.
do around the national strategy or contact
I'll
Second the
second.
motion.
the administration of the vaccine.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome.
Aye.
I don't know what the number is now, but I think we're at about 37. So well done. We'll all get together at some point. I hope.
Hey, Landon, how are we doing petitions now? I know there's been a lot of discussion. I was just curious. I've
So
got a
they're just
neighbor.
filling out the top of the petition. Garrick went out and got signatures. We're working through that.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll have something soon.
Yeah.
Let's do Erica Wiggins, the secretary report.
Hello, everyone. The only thing that I have is I need to update contact information. So if anybody has any changes, or if you want to just confirm your contact information, talking about phone number, best email, if your address changed, I really hope we know, unless you're just still in your district, email those to me, and I put my email address in the chat. And thank you, Dane. I appreciate that. So just for the, Steve, I'm on speak. Sorry, he's cussing at our TV, and so we're watching the debate on the other side. So if you could just send, or if you want to update your headshot, I will take care of that over the next couple of weeks.
Okay, great. Enjoy the debate. Let's have, hey, Sherry's gonna work. Her microphone's gonna work now, it sounds like. Can she introduce herself, please?
If you can hear me now, hopefully I switched
Yeah.
devices. Hi, I'm Sherry Jensen. I recently relocated here to Salt Lake City from Florida. As he announced, I'm here in the Highland Park area. I live on East Stratford. I'm excited to join your group. Professionally, I teach economics at Salt Lake Community College. So that's what keeps me busy with my job. But I would certainly like to become more involved in the community here. I moved from Florida, and there I was a member of our environmental task force and the code enforcement board for my small city there on the coast, the eastern coast of Florida. And so definitely excited to get involved, to learn more about our community. So thanks for letting me join you.
Sherry,
Thank
can
you.
I ask a question?
Sure.
You live on the east end of Stratford. Did you lose any trees?
So we got very lucky. We did not on our property, but unfortunately our neighbors across the street ended up with 2 trees on their house. So there were a large number of big trees that went down. Personally, we lost 2/3 of our backyard fence. It was quite funny. We left Florida thinking we had escaped the hurricanes. Then I saw the headlines of the hurricane force winds that were coming. So we're hoping not to experience that again anytime soon. But the city has done a really good job. Our street has basically been cleaned up pretty quickly of all the debris and the damage that was in the park strips.
It was one of the worst streets that I saw as I was driving around, so that's why I asked. Thank you.
Great. Okay, so we have a spotlight on business tonight. Brandon, Lori's gonna introduce her if that's okay.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Lori.
So I'm introducing Melanie Edwards, and Melanie has a great business called Leafy Mama, and she's moving that and Keto Bakehouse into the Santa Shack. She actually approached me clear back in March about doing it, but we had a lot of hoops to jump through with the city, and it turns out we really didn't need to jump through those hoops. So that was, anyway, so her products are amazing. I keep her chocolate, well, I have one here. I keep her chocolate at my desk. It's so good. It's keto friendly. And so she will be in the Santa Shack, except in the month of December when I will be there with Santa. We're going to be doing a social distance Santa visit. We can talk about that next month. And I'm going to plug the Art Walk really fast before Melanie starts. She's actually participating Friday in the Art Walk. The Art Walk's early this time, so we can have outdoor art while it's daylight. So it's from 4 until 7 this Friday. And there will be a map posted. There's already a poster posted. And Melanie will have her wonderful treats, and she'll tell you more about that. I'm excited to have her using the Santa Shack. And those of you that don't know, it has been moved, and it's on Highland Drive on the south side of Key Bank and across the street from Patagonia. So the Dees Corporation was nice enough to let us put it there. Wade has been amazing to work with. Judy, thank you for that introduction. And Melanie, it's all yours.
Oh, thank you, Lori, and thank you everyone for your time today. We're so excited to do this, and to have this iconic shack to be able to open up in has been fabulous. So we've kind of reached out to KUTV, to Fox News. We have Big Buddha coming. We've been in the Salt Lake Tribune. Everyone's fascinated about what we're doing because we've kind of, I don't know, I think with COVID, it's important to find a way to creatively make things work in business. And we were hit really hard. So we have chocolates and baked goods. Everything is low carb, no sugar added, kind of the ketogenic line. You can also say that it's paleo as well. And so we've been a wholesaler for years. So we're in Whole Foods, we're in Harmon's, we're in a lot of the small markets. But over COVID, we lost a substantial amount of business because we were in a lot of the coffee shops and delis, and those were just closed down. So ironically, we expanded to Whole Foods regionally into 32 stores and shipped everything out the day before Utah basically closed down in mid-March. So all of our products were sitting in these 32 Whole Foods stores mid-March, and a lot of them were closed. They just weren't even open. People could order online. So our products were really just sitting on the shelf because nobody knew about them because they were new. So anyway, Lori and I found a way to partner with the Santa Shack because it's there 11 months out of the year. December, it's all Lori's, and the kids want Santa. So Lori's creatively figured out a way to make that work. So just briefly here, and I don't know if maybe if you shop at Whole Foods or Harmon's, but here's some of the things we have. So keto, and it's 80% cacao, and it's it's just no sugar added, very low carb, organic strawberries and pumpkin seeds, and we've got flax seeds there. And then a couple others is the coconut and nuts bar. And then we also have organic blueberry and pecans and some sesame seeds. And the baked section are cookies, we have pies, everything is just keto-fied, we say, low carbified. So the cookies this is what we'll have tomorrow. So we've got chocolate chip and we have pumpkin spice. So a lot of things, but everything's packaged there. So we're not producing anything in the shack. Everything that is produced will be in our commercial kitchen that's approved by the agricultural department. And that's how we've gotten the okay to do this, because it's all good to go, done the way the ag department needs it to be done. And then we're just selling it at the shack tomorrow at 10. So come over if you would like. And yeah, we're giving out free cookies for any purchase over $10. So that'll be fun. And then, yeah, we'll have news coverage. We'll have cameras there quite a bit on Friday mostly. Anyway, pretty exciting. So
Melanie, can you tell us the hours and the name of your business again?
yeah, it's Leafy Mama. And that shack, we're just gonna call it the Keto Bakehouse. Leafy Mama Keto Bakehouse. I mean, yeah, it's just too cute. It's too cute. I'm so excited. But yeah, the shack we'll call the Bakehouse. And then we've got banners on that shack right now that say Leafy Mama Bakehouse.
But I think so.
So it'll be open Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays from 10 to 6.
Okay. Well, welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you. So excited.
Thank you. Brandon, can you unmute Holly? Holly, you want to introduce your team?
Kitty.
She's watching the debate. Sure.
We'll get that.
Holly, do you want to introduce your team for us?
So the fact that you continue to
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah. I know you're watching the debate.
I was a little bit watching. I'm going to go upstairs. I'm going upstairs so my housemate can enjoy it in peace. We're here tonight. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We're here tonight. I'm here with
God,
Natalie
that was
Moore.
like the Blair Witch Project.
Well, we're in the process of moving, so there's no furniture here or anything. So anyway, here tonight with Natalie Moore, the lead engineer on the canal project in Sugar House. And we just wanted to give you all a bit of an update. We're still, going ahead as planned as we spoke with you. I think it's been since August, I guess we were here last. So I just wanted to give you just brief with Natalie's help here. Well, actually, I'm here to help Natalie. She's here to present just a little bit of an update for you. So go ahead, Natalie, and take it away.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good. You're right. We were here in August. I gave a presentation on kind of the summary of the canal replacement plan, or the canal replacement between, it's on Highland Drive between Wilmington and about 2350 South, the liquor store area. And then we also talked about the tree replacements that we're planning on doing on the west side of Highland Drive. And so I just wanted to give you an update kind of on the schedule of things. We're moving forward with the canal, the pipe replacement this fall and probably until March. We'll be giving a lot of businesses a heads up. We'll be working around holiday hours and trying to be, as flexible as possible. But also I've been talking with Lynn Jacobs, who's here from transportation on the local link study. And so the last couple of months we were talking about, how our tree plan and the silva cells and the bioretention cells would fit into the future of Highland Drive, especially with some of the ideas that are happening with the local link study. And so it sounds like so they're planning on replacing Highland Drive. The road will be replaced, and perhaps the corridor might change in some ways. And so we wanted to make sure that we were fitting our tree replacement plan in with their plans. We want to make sure the bioretention cells fit in with the proposed curb or whatever comes from that local link study. And so we decided that rather than planting trees in the spring of 2021 and then ripping them out just in time for the Highland Drive Road Reconstruction Project in 2023, we would plant those trees permanently in 2023 with the road project. And in the meantime, we don't want big gaps, on the west side of Highland Drive. So we kind of want to maintain the aesthetic of Highland Drive. So we were thinking of maybe putting in some temporary landscaping measures, such as some greenery or some planters, maybe combination of planters and shade sails or something. But just to make sure that it looks nice between the spring of 2021 when we're done with the canal project and 2023 when we can actually permanently replant those trees again. So, yeah, that's kind of what's going on. You know, unfortunately, our projects don't overlap completely, but we're glad to be working with Lynn Jacobs and that local link study and the plans for Highland Drive. So, so if you want any more information on the project, or if you have any other questions, I can put my email address in the chat box and I'll answer any of your questions.
Can I just ask a fast question now?
Sure.
When you say you're going to try and accommodate holiday hours, I mean, that's right where the Santa Shack is now, except on the east side. What does that mean?
So, okay, so I think we'll be on the west side. We'll be working mostly in the far west lane of traffic. We'll keep two-directional traffic going at all times. We've written in the contract for the contractor that there will be no work done on Wilmington Avenue between Thanksgiving and New Year's, just so that we're keeping traffic flowing and keeping traffic to businesses during that time. So, so we won't be working, I can't see us working nights at this point, but we want to be accommodating to make sure that businesses are accessible and we're plating our trenches and making sure that, you know, we're not trying to make things tough for businesses right now, especially since, you know, the COVID things are affecting everybody. So we'll work with all these businesses too. If you have any input, we'd be happy to be accommodating.
Okay, thank you, Natalie, for coming, and thanks for keeping us in the loop.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. If anybody wants to talk about the project too, we can talk anytime. Okay.
And I think we know how much people rightly dislike when you plant things and then have to pull them all back up again. So we hope that'll satisfy folks as we go forward.
Well, thank you. It's appreciated that you guys stay open with us. So thanks.
Great. Thank you for having us.
All right. Enjoy the debate.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks.
Brennan, can you unmute Lynn Jacobs?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep. Go ahead, Lynn.
Awesome. Can you also allow me to share my screen? Because I want to just show one thing.
Is that blood on your mirror?
It is blood on my mirror. Horrible things going on today. I can't. In all seriousness, my internet is going in and out today. So if you lose me, my apologies. I think I just reset my router, so hopefully we're good now. And then I will share my screen. So thanks, everyone. I'm going to be really brief tonight. I don't want to get into all the details. I know you have a packed agenda. I just wanted to, am I sharing my screen? Can you see my local link study? Awesome. I just wanted a quick plug because we have 2 open surveys right now that we want to make sure everyone has a chance to take. If you remember the last time I think I presented to this group, we were having a challenge getting a lot of feedback on our initial survey. Fortunately, we've got a lot better feedback so far on this one. I think between our 2 surveys that we have open right now, we've received about 700 or 800 comments. So things are definitely picking up for us. And we sure appreciate all the hard work everyone's doing to get the word out for us and helping us just get this study underway. So what I've come to talk to you about tonight, we have a list of preliminary recommendations for our circulation study. And we just want everyone's input on it. So if you go to our website, and I'll put the link in the chat here in a second, there's these 2 buttons. One is prioritize projects, the other is take a transit survey. And so we're hoping that everyone can go and do this if you haven't already. If you go to prioritize projects, it will explain what we've come up with. Click on that button and it takes you to a map that shows all of the ideas that we've come up with and all the hard work that we've done. So we've come up with about 7 major projects that we've identified in the Sugar House area that are needed. And we've also identified about 8 programs and policies that we think are needed to help improve circulation in the area. And for each of these, you can click on one of them and it will give a little short description. For instance, this one's Parley's Trail alignment through the heart of Sugar House. If you click on this button, it will actually take you to a sheet that shows you all of the details of what we're talking about for that Parley's Trail alignment. Each one of these projects has their own sheet. So that's the best way for you to find out the recommendations that we've been making, is to kind of take some time, go through, look at all these, and then give us feedback on them. And that's really what that map is about. You have a chance to reorganize your priorities, say which ones are most important to you. And then there's, if you press next, there's a couple opportunities to give us feedback as well. So we're hoping everyone can do that if you could. And this is almost open. As I said, my internet is just choppy tonight. But for instance, this is all the work that we've been doing, talking about Parley's Trail through the heart of Sugar House and how to make that better. Each one of these projects has something like that. So go through, learn about it, explore. And then when you've done that, the next thing we ask everyone to do is to take a survey about transit in the area and how you're using transit. Both of these are really short surveys. They shouldn't take a long time for anyone to fill out, but we sure hope everyone can take the opportunity to do this and spread the word. We're definitely getting some momentum and we appreciate everyone's help in making that happen. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop my presentation. Does anyone have any questions? I know you've got a packed agenda, so I don't want to take too much time.
Awesome. Thanks, Lynn.
Okay. The link to the study is in the chat, as is my email address. So if anyone needs to reach out to me, I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Bill Knowles. Can you unmute Bill, Brandon?
There I am.
All right.
How are you all? You're not watching the debate then, are you? Maybe you're recording it like I am. So I wanted to give you all a quick update on what I've dubbed probably the most expensive piece of real estate in Salt Lake City, the stretch of McClellan between 21st South and Sugarmont. I don't know if anybody has noticed that piece of ground, but a lot of activity going on there of the last few years, and it continues. Just wanted to give you an update as talking to both of the perpetrators, I guess you'd call them, earlier today, and actually multiple times over the last couple of weeks. But the news is, the good news is everybody's moving now, and there is, believe it or not, an end in sight. The Low project has remained on schedule and been on schedule since shortly after they begun, and they've been working things according to plan. As we know, across the street, it's been a little bit dicey, to say the least, but it is looking now like the projects are coming together, excuse me, in terms of getting both of the frontages on McClellan Street cleaned up. You wouldn't know it to look at it right now, but that's what is happening. And the sidewalk, curb and gutter has all been put in along with the pavement on the west side of the street on the Low property. They're currently waiting to have paver design approved by the city. They expect that here shortly, and they have that work begin in the next week or so and done within 2 weeks, which would wrap up their side of the street in terms of all the improvements that need to be made there. As some of you may have noticed, finally, work began on the east side of the street with the Vitek, with Boulder Ventures project, and all the sidewalk and curb and gutter, old sidewalk curb and gutter is being ripped up and getting ready to be replaced. We had some, I don't know if Levi or other folks from the transportation committee are on the meeting here, but there was certainly some issues at the end of last week relative to pedestrian access and how they were treating getting pedestrians from north to south, and actually from the bigger problem is south to north. That has been fixed up here as of, I think, Monday morning, as some calls that I made Friday. But anyway, it is now at least more clearly defined and accessible for pedestrians. Vehicle traffic will remain closed for the next 2 weeks. And sorry to say that the inconvenience that is can only be, it can be overstated, I'm sure. But the fact is, these projects came together finally after the Boulder Ventures project on the east is about 1.5 years behind schedule. But here they are finishing the road work on both of their properties at the same time. So who saw that coming? Anyway, they are getting it done. And I was told this morning that the project on the east side, as you know, they're ripping up the old curb and gutter. They will be start replacement on that next week. They've also got a permit from the city to put asphalt down starting very shortly after the following week. And they're expected to be done by the end of this month. So as we've missed a few, I'm sorry, Sally, what?
I was just gonna say, can I ask a question? So does that mean by the end of the month, pedestrians will be able to walk on both sides?
Well, I was just about to say
Sorry.
that be careful of holding too much to the timelines, particularly from the east side, as we've been given a number of those, but they are now at work. And what we do know is that I'm talking to both of these folks to coordinate, we will not be left without one side being open. And that's the important thing. I tried to get a guarantee on the two sides, but frankly, the owner, Jeff Vitek at Boulder Ventures, basically laughs when I ask for a specific time. He said, well, you know, that's not gone too well. And so he's being cautiously optimistic and telling me that they will be done by the end of the month. And what we do know that I've got both of these guys talking together, and this morning Low Properties said the same thing, is we'll make sure we work with those guys now that we're both at this, to guarantee there will be access continuing north and south along that stretch of roadway. They can't speak for when these other guys are done, but they did say, if you want to shift the pedestrian walkway back to our side, because we still will have some work going on, even though our sidewalk and pavers will be down, we will still have work going on the building front. We can shift those barricades and create that same walkway on the west side of the street, if in fact the guys on the east aren't done yet. So we're working together on making sure that we will have that continued north-south access going. And yep, ideally at the end of the month, we have sidewalks on both sides going back and forth. But it is, as I said, it is now both sides looking very positive and being cleaned up. But by the time of the holidays, I think we'll have a pretty good situation down there. And you've already heard from utilities. We've been talking to them along with the project starting up. Lowe's Sugar Alley project will be starting up next week. They got their approval. They're mobilizing basically as we speak on that lot, just to the north of Boulder Ventures at the old Dixon building property. And you'll see that under construction, and a pedestrian walkway going onto the outside lane of Highland Drive. And as I say that, I'm also going to add that we're still working on that configuration. We want to accommodate pedestrian activity north and south along Highland Drive, but we also don't want to cause a huge backup of traffic given left turn situations on Highland Drive and plugging up that inside lane. Lynn, I don't know if he's still on here, but Lynn has been working with us on getting a turn lane created in the middle of Highland Drive to take that left turn pressure off and allow that one lane to function as through traffic to the south. So we're still working on some of that. And believe me, we've been working on it for the last few weeks as we've seen this situation arise. Also, there's a hawk light that will project that will be installed. The good news is there'll be a hawk light at that intersection where the Sugar Alley road goes in, north of Wilmington, just a little bit south of the library. So there'll be a very nice mid-block crosswalk there that will be signalized. And that's going to also be happening before the end of the year. We don't have a more specific timeline because the contractor is doing a number of other hawk light projects for the city and other parts of town. And they said it's on the schedule for this year. I can't tell you exactly what day will be there, but we will get it done before the end of the season. So what that says is going to be pretty busy still in that neck of the woods.
Bill, do you mind answering questions in the chat for us if we get to Mark Isaac?
Yeah, absolutely. You'll be getting more information from your next presentations coming up. And I guess I just want to tell everybody we're at work at making this thing work. And it's certainly been a challenge. But and Landon's been very closely engaged with a lot of this.
So this is, for all the new trustees, this is Bill Knowles. He's the Salt Lake City Ombudsman. He works, I don't know about primarily, but he works a lot with Sugar House. He's incredible. So
Ombudsman extraordinaire.
Yeah.
That's nice of you all to say, but it feels like I get sometimes further behind. It seems like it comes faster than we can.
I don't know. You always have our back.
We've got a lot of help, you guys, and you're so great to work with. You make my job worth doing. And very quickly, I'll get off and leave the rest of the agenda here. Lennon, we are meeting with the mayor's office at 10 o'clock Friday morning, and we're working on that freeway sign. And we have the mayor's support. We have the support we need. We're just trying to get around some of the UDOT issues, and so we're having a very critical conversation here Friday morning. We hope to have a good announcement for next week. So,
awesome. Thank
there
you.
You go,
Thanks, Bill.
All right.
All right, Brandon. We're gonna go to Mark Isaac.
I'm going to watch him because I want to hear what he has to say too.
The cool thing about these videos, Bill, is it makes you and I look 10 years younger.
I do? Wow. I don't look as good as you, I know. But, wow.
People are always worried.
That's great to hear.
It makes us look younger. I'll actually be able to stay on schedule.
You have 20 minutes, Mark.
I don't even need it, and here's why. We've gone through the Salt Lake City planning pre-submittal hearing on Sugartown, the old Snell Grove dryers for the new trustees that joined this evening and some of the new faces. Our intentions are to request for community council support for a rezone to Sugar House Central Business District 2, as we've talked, Judy. The interesting thing about that is there's a couple steps. We have to look to amend the Sugar House master plan to accommodate the extension of that zone. We would then have the rezone. We would be involved in design review because of the size, scope, and scale. And then we also have a subdivision component and subdivision plat, because the DABC liquor store partnership on the project will require ownership of their condominiumized new liquor store that we're building. So there's a bit of a cross to bear, a little bit of work. So we are making changes in the design that you've seen to date. I could probably share screen and bring it up just briefly. Let's see if I can figure this stuff out. I almost swore. Well, only the host can. Never mind.
Let me. I can make you the host, Mark.
Oh God, don't do that. I'm bound to screw something up even worse. It's okay. Here's the drill. If we go after Sugar House Central Business District, we have the masonry requirements. We have the design guidelines in Sugar House Central Business District. There's a whole host of criteria that will change what you've seen to date. What we were trying to do was estimate to the best of our ability what the building would look like, how it would fit in our community, so that it fit but wasn't emulating everything or following lockstep, kind of creating a new sense of place. So what we are doing right now is we are making changes that follow the Sugar House Central Business District design guidelines. And then what we will do is we will come into the Land Use Committee next meeting with Judy and show changes, just so that you know we are making changes to all the masonry walls that are on the west flank of the original submittal you've all seen, where we just had cinder block around that parking area that will service the retail parking and the liquor store. So we're doing the window pop outs and the relief that we all would like to see have happen on parking structures in our community. So those changes are underway. Material changes on the ground floor for the masonry requirements and glass. We were pretty good with most of that. We need to fine tune it to follow the Sugar House design guidelines a little better. But here's one thing I'm going to need your help with. I'm going to need a letter from the Sugar House Community Council. I don't know if this comes out of Land Use Committee, Judy. You're going to know this stuff better than I. But in talking in our DRT today, and please understand, I just did preliminaries, submittal hearing and DRT over the last week with the city, because we wanted to show.
Mark, can you speak English?
Well, there's a planning process you have to go through for submittals of everything in our community, okay? You're required to do a pre-submittal hearing with Salt Lake City Planning. You're required to do DRT, Development Review Team, or the Development Review Committee at the city. We did not do those meetings early like most people. We wanted to show Land Use Committee and Community Council our intentions first, and make sure that we weren't blowing ourselves up in our own neighborhood before we started the city process. So we reversed it. And that's out of respect for me truly feeling like I have friends there. I'm a member of the community and we're trying to do the right thing. So I wanted to show you all first. My dad calling from Montana. He's probably watching this stupid debate. Anyway, so you go through criteria and submittal and steps. What happens is the city planning staff, the city different departments, transportation, engineering, so on and so forth, all have a kick at the can. What they've decided is we have a few more steps to go through to make this project a reality than we originally had intended. So we will come back to Judy's Land Use Committee first with design iteration changes and make sure that we're following Sugar House design guidelines. Then we'll present next month to the Community Council with the new set of plans, layouts, and renderings to meet the new criteria. If you'll recall, we wanted to present to you and ask whether we go form-based code and follow off the west flank, Landon, or we went Sugar House Community Council and followed off the east flank with the Sugar House Central Business District. So there wasn't a set path to make this rezone request. we believe that carrying the Central Business District and Sugar House design guidelines further west serves our project better. I'm hoping that the community council believes that it sure serves our community better. That's the best way for me to boil it down. The one tricky son of a gun that keeps rearing its ugly head, and you guys know this because I redid the Sputnik on the granite furniture building for Vitek, and I love these old signs. Nobody loves them more than Lori does. We want to take the ice cream cone down and put it on the backside of the building, as I showed you all. The southeast corner of the building will have the ice cream cone. Our intent is to get it as far away from the liquor store as we can, number one. And number two, it kind of fits into the cool part of that block. Estes Pizza, the Wing Shop, the bar, the Smiths, and the S-Line stop at 9th East will all be visible for that ice cream cone. Well, here we go again in black and white in planning parlance and sign ordinance. If I take the freaking ice cream cone down from where it is and move it to somewhere else, it becomes non-conforming. Holy crap. And I thought we passed this a million times, Judy, when you and I tried to rewrite that sign ordinance. And for the life of me, I can't figure out why I keep shooting myself in the foot. So if the community council and the land use committee will help with a letter of support to the planning staff. Listen, we like the idea of saving the ice cream cone. And in fact, we really like the idea of moving it a little ways away from the liquor store. Maybe I can get some of these things over the goal line. So that's all the time I needed. I just want you to know we're trying so damn hard to do it right. And every time I turn, there's bureaucracy.
Mark, if you need a letter, we'll write it.
Yeah, Mark, can you hear me?
Oh, baby, can I hear you?
So Nick and I emailed back and forth because there's some special exceptions that the planning department's mucking with. And so I clarified for him and he agreed, no, it wasn't a problem. So I may have already written the letter you need, but I can clarify that further. I'll have to dig it out.
Well, fantastic. Listen, what we're trying to do is what we think the community would like to see have happen. You're the keeper of the key for the community kind of, idea or at least path. And the reason I want to keep getting in front of you is because each time we go through these little steps, we get little curveballs thrown at us. Absolutely fine. I want to make sure that we're doing it right. But now we've got a whole host of stuff, Judy, because of the amendment to the Sugar House master plan.
We do that stuff all the time. Relax.
I know. And you know what? It's good. It's all good. I love it down there. It's my hood. That's all I needed, Landon.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm staying with you. I would rather watch this where nobody speaks over the top of each other. It's civil and it's people I really, really like.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Mark. We'll see you again soon. Hey, Brandon, can we unmute Christy Sweat? We have a few minutes before the candidates get here, correct, Will?
That's correct, Landon.
Okay. Christy Sweat is a Precinct 7 school board member. I think she's still on.
I am. I'm here.
Christy, you want to talk about the school board for a second?
It's just like my favorite subject. All about schools right now. I think Jeremy's on too. So if Jeremy wants to jump in, I think if there's any questions anybody has about the schools, I'd be, happy to answer. We had a little bit of a marathon meeting last night, trying to figure out how to get my video started. Sorry, everyone. And anyway, we have been talking, obviously, if you're watching the news, then you know that Salt Lake is still in remote, and that, that means that all of our kids are online learning. We do have our special ed kids, our ELL, which is our English language learners, and then some of our refugee kids. And then we've also looked at any other children that might need some very specific help with their teachers. So they're doing small group instructions with them at the schools right now. But outside of that, it's been pretty limited, who can be doing any kind of instruction or who can go into the building. And I know that it's a little bit of a split precinct, in precinct 7, that I have a lot of parents that would like to stay in remote, but I also have parents that would like to have a choice, to have in-person instruction. So that was what our marathon meeting was really about last night, was going through and looking at some of the recommendations that could possibly be made at a time when our numbers aren't so high. One of the things that we are talking a little bit about is each week, the Wasatch Front superintendents and the school board presidents all have a weekly meeting with Mr. Gary Edwards, who is the head of the Salt Lake County Health Department. And it's been really beneficial to be able to meet with him, and also for the other superintendents to interact with each other. And I'm hoping what will happen is, going forward, that our interim superintendent, Mr. Madden, will be looking at what are the other districts doing right, in regards to their models. If you look at Granite School District has about 50 elementaries. And I think that right now they have a total of about 25 cases. So they're doing some really, things really right in those elementaries, but also, the transmission rate and the positivity rate with children who are, kinder through about 3rd grade, 4th grade is really low. And so that's part of it too. Outside of that, I think that Sugar House Community Council has talked about this a little bit, that we're seeing a decline in the schools. And part of that has to do with the cost of housing and rentals. And so we are going to be starting conversations with the city mayor, who's Mayor Mendenhall has been really great. And then also with our city council about what can we look at in the city planning and also development to try and keep our families in the city, instead of thinking that they can't, and right now the prices are so high, most families don't feel like they can live in the city. So it's a bit of a challenge, but the good news is that at Highland and in what we call the Highland Network, which is all the feeders that go into Highland, our numbers look really good. And there's a little bit of a dip in a couple of our elementaries as far as the enrollment goes, but the enrollment at Hillside and at Highland is pretty strong. So I don't know, Jeremy, is there anything that you want to add to that? Jeremy is so great. He's our principal down at Highland also, wears a couple of hats, but Jeremy, I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that.
No, I do actually. We met as a school, obviously we're meeting daily, but looking at the numbers that we've actually seen our numbers stay steady from where they were last year. Highland currently has, based on our Power School numbers, our kind of enrollment situation is around 1,800 students. So that's basically right on par with where we have been. I can tell you that the survey data that we've been putting out to parents and community members at our school has been really positive in terms of what our teachers have been doing for the most part with our online stuff. There are definitely some that have not been pleased, but I think for the most part that's been a vocal minority. But teachers are working extremely hard. Students are in Zoom meetings and in classes basically the length of the school day, so from 8 to 2:30 every day. We do have our competing groups coming in after school and doing some practicing, including some of our band and orchestra. Our band started coming in this week and practicing outside, social distance. So there's some positive stuff going on. We are seeing a few cases here and there, different groups that have had to quarantine, but for the most part, we've been very safe, and cases that we've had have been quickly localized and very minute. So a lot of positive things happening at Highland. I will take from our math department, I got to receive an email today. They're seeing 90%, 95% participation in their online classes. So that's fantastic. And when you compare that even to what it would look like when we're in school, that's about the same, if not better than what we'd typically see while in live person learning. So really happy about that.
I would agree. I think that there's been so many good things that have been going on. We know that as Jeremy has talked a little bit about, that the online experience has been overall very manageable for most of our families. We had a really good report last night on the massive survey that was just sent out to parents. And I do have to, put a little feather into Jeremy's cap and into Jane Bernson's, who is the principal up at Hillside, and then the elementary schools. They worked really hard to get their parents and their students to respond to that survey. And the Highland Network was one of the highest responders. And so that was very pleasing. For instance, if you look at that, we have 1,800 kids up at Highland, we had almost 1,500 responding, with our students. So that's pretty awesome, that we've been able to get good feedback from our students, and we had over 5,000 comments. So I think that, everyone's still going through those comments to see how we can move things forward. But outside of that, I mean, there's always something that's going on at the school district. And I know that Jeremy has an open door, and so do I. You can easily find me, on the website. You can call me at home, or you can reach out to me through my email. My emails are a little stuffed right now. I'm a little behind getting back to everybody, but I'm working hard on that. But otherwise, if there's questions, if Jeremy or I can answer any questions that you might have, I'd be happy to do that.
Hey, Christy, can you answer questions in the chat?
Sure.
Okay, just for a bit. And Christy Sweat's running for re-election, but unopposed, so she's not joining us tonight.
Yay! After 18 years, I'm kind of nice to not have an opponent. So
great job. So thank you.
Hey, thanks, Jeremy. And thanks, Landon.
You're welcome. We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.
All right, Will, go ahead.
Okay, thanks everybody. We appreciate you joining us for our Meet the Candidate night. So we reached out to candidates that were running for county office that touched the borders of Sugar House. That was largely countywide candidates: the mayor, the recorder, the assessor's office, and the treasurer's office. County Councilwoman Ann Granado is on the ballot again, but she is also unopposed this election. And then we also reached out to the various House district candidates that are seeking to represent areas that touch the Sugar House boundaries. So candidates from all parties were invited. A lot of them signed up to be here with us tonight, and we're really appreciative of that. Every candidate will have 4 minutes to tell you why they're running, who they are, what they're about. We're not going to take any questions. Unfortunately, we just don't have the time for that. But hopefully we can learn a lot about these candidates. Candidates and their teams, please feel free to post in the chat if you want to post links to your website, more information for the voters. So we'll start right away with candidate for county mayor, Trent Staggs. If we could unmute Trent and have him present, that would be great.
Okay, I think I was able to unmute myself. So if you can hear me, we're good?
We can hear you, Trent. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. No, I appreciate the invitation and for all the work and the effort that you put in as a community council. I've served on a city council and now as a city mayor for the last 7 years, and know all the work that goes in and working with community councils. So appreciative of your service. A little bit about me. I've actually grown up here in the southwest part of the valley, attended Bingham High School, got my undergraduate degree from the University of Utah in political science and economics, went on to pursue an MBA, BYU, and for the last 25 years or so, my professional career, I've been involved in principally 3 different industries. at Morgan Stanley in finance, and I owned a nationwide mortgage brokerage company. I have owned some of my other businesses, software as a service, and most recently have been working with a publicly traded company on the board that focuses on clean technology. But about 7 years ago, got involved, interested in politics, ran for city council, as I indicated, won 3 years ago as city mayor of Riverton. And there have been 3 different instances where our city has worked and actually exited countywide or county-led services. And at every turn, we've ended up providing those services less expensively, provided a higher level of service, and offered, I believe, much more accountability and transparency. And so it was really, that was a bit of the impetus of deciding to run for the county. As I dug into it further, I saw that the county budget has actually increased $500 million, or some 50% in the last 5 years. Salt Lake County now has a budget that exceeds that of Clark County, Nevada, yet they have twice as many people to serve. And of course, we're getting hit with a property tax increase this year. My opponent had proposed of $16 million. Is also on the record wanting to index property tax to inflation, so it would automatically adjust every year. And I think that fundamentally is a bad idea. For me, if you go to trentstaggs.com, you'll see some of the main priorities. It's fiscal responsibility. It's empowering communities more so. I want to empower city councils and mayors much more so than what they are now under the current the current structure in the county. And then I also want to see smart and sustainable growth. That's impacted all of the county, some more than others, but I think it is applicable everywhere. So just to kind of recap in this last minute, if you look at what I think are the most important comparative points between the county mayoral candidates, as a city mayor, I have a record of lowering taxes while improving services. My opponent has a record of growing government exponentially and also increasing taxes this year and wanting to even more so going forward. I've got a record with a master's in business administration, 25 years of professional experience. My opponent has been in county government now for 12 years and principally been involved in that area. And lastly, I have a plan. If you go to trentstaggs.com, you'll see a number of plans on air quality that have been authored and been published in multiple newspapers, affordable housing, homelessness, taxes and spending, criminal justice reform. I have laid out detailed plans, and I look forward to any questions that you might have. Go to trentstaggs.com. You can email me. I'll put my email and phone number in the chat window, and look forward to answering any questions you might have.
Thank you, Trent. We really appreciate you taking the time to meet with us.
Thank you.
So our next candidate is Michael Kundick. Michael, are you on the call?
I sure am. Thank you, Will.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So my name is Michael Kundick, and I am Utah's only Green Party candidate this year, and I am running also for Salt Lake County Mayor. I was asked by the Green Party last fall to do the run. I've been a community organizer and activist for the last 10 years, primarily around air quality, as well as growing our own food. I believe that we are in a very difficult time in human history, and one of the most fundamental, most self-evident truths that I hold as sacred is that our planet is a living biosphere that is deeply under assault by the way society has evolved. And as much as political candidates often talk about, fighting for climate change or clean air or this or that, you have to look at the way our valley is progressing. I was very involved in the Stop the Polluting Port Coalition and still am. There is a major resistance against such an enormous project going in the wetlands of our Great Salt Lake. And it's something that I feel like makes me really nervous, especially for my own unborn son, who is less than about a week and a half away. My firstborn son is coming. And so I really want to see a valley where clean air, clean water, healthy soils, and resilient, united communities are the norm. And I know that for me to win as a Green Party candidate, as well as a tattooed progressive millennial, it would not just be local news, it would be national, if not global. There are hundreds of millions of people around the world that are begging and looking for signs that a new story is emerging. And as much as we want to believe that we can take the transformations that we need, politics has to transform as well. And it's really frustrating, you know, driving an electric car, being on the front lines of air quality, running the Krishna Food Forest and Farm. I have an acre farm in Mill Creek that's feeding about 50 people a week, no chemicals, no tilling. It's this amazing gathering point for the community that allows us to share our skills, share our resources, and really paint a vision of the future where we're all actually able to take care of one another and really connected and a lot more related to the pioneer heritage in our valley. And so it's frustrating to see to put that much effort in and to have my own values on the line and to fight so hard alongside community and still have projects like the Inland Port shoved down our throats and not seeing the political will necessary to save the planet for future generations. That's why I'm choosing to run. I know that as county mayor, I would be able to not only be a good administrator, I've started multiple nonprofits. I'm the co-founder of the SLC Air Protectors, which is a well-respected Indigenous-led organization. I'm the chairperson of the Utah Permaculture Collective, which helps neighborhood groups around the valley help each other install gardens and get ecologically educated. I help run the $1 million a year company, small company, but it's called Student Loan Tutor based in Utah. We help people nationwide navigate usually self-employed borrowers, but I have the experience necessary to be able to be great at the administrative side, but what I really have is the charisma and the community history and the reputation to be able to take these ideals and put them into real action. I want to see a place within walking distance of every neighborhood where we're growing food, preserving it, sharing tools with one another, sharing our skills, and bringing this valley back into the Garden of Eden that it can be if we had the will for it. So those are my main priorities at this point: is community resiliency, ecological education, transparency in government. I feel so often that the politicians that we're usually living with are coming from political dynasties or kind of come up within service to special interests. And I think anybody who looks into me for half a second is going to see that my heart and my sincerity is 100% on the line in this. And I really hope that I inspire a whole bunch of younger candidates to step up and decide to run as well and transform the political process, because future generations are counting on this kind of passion to come forth and to make it happen. So I appreciate everybody taking the time and having me on this, and I hope that you'll all wish me a healthy and happy birth for my wife here in the next week or so. Been really focused on that. So thank you everybody for having me tonight.
Thank you, Michael. We appreciate it, and congratulations on your child. We wish you well. Our next candidate to speak is Lori Stringham. Lori's running for County Council at Large A. Lori, are you on the call?
There we go. How are you tonight? I feel like we're running from one thing to another, so it's a little crazy. Glad to be here. Glad to be able to talk to you guys tonight. Let me start by introducing myself. I live out on the west side. I live in Kearns. I've been involved in our community for quite a number of years. I currently serve on a Parks and Recreation board at the Kearns Zucker Park Fitness Center. And most people know what that is if they understand where the speed skating oval is from the 2002 Winter Olympics. That's the facility that I actually am over. The position I serve in is an elected position because it's a special service district. I've been elected to that board for 22 years now. So it's been a long time. So I was there before the Olympics. I was there when we built the oval. I was there when we ran the Olympics out here, and have been here to make sure that that's become a legacy facility. And we've done some unique things in how we do business out here that's different than a lot of governmental entities. And we put some really good policies into place when I first came on the board. that have allowed us to grow and to get through times that are really difficult for most governmental entities. We've got a really good plan that's helped us come through pretty well. So it's been a really good experience over the time that I've been here. I grew up in Sandy, so I went to Jordan High School, so I'm a Utah girl, born and raised here. I have 5 children that I've raised out here in Kearns, and I currently am a teacher. I teach at Skyline High School, and enjoy doing that. I teach technical theater and film, and so I kind of have a unique background that way. I've run my own business for quite a number of years as well. So I teach part-time and I run a business on the side, and I work in film and television and theater. And so it's kind of a unique perspective on the world around us, because I get to see a lot of things and do a lot of things, and yet I still get to work with my students who are amazing and help them figure out what they want to do with their lives. And oftentimes when they come to my class, it's because they are interested in some aspect of what we do. And it's so diverse what we teach as far as technical theater. And it's amazing how many of my students can come out and go right into industry and work. And I have quite a number who are seniors this year who are already working in industry right now, which is really exciting. And they're able to make actually pretty good money. So kind of a fun thing. And a lot of them actually use their skills that they learned to pay their way through college too. So that's been kind of fun. A couple things that I am really passionate about. With Salt Lake County, I have worked with them for years because as a park and recreation facility, we work together on a multitude of programs and issues and things over the many years. And I also come from the Kearns Metro Township. So we are literally one of the Metro Townships that were just recently created, and we've really enjoyed being involved in that creation and having some control over our own area now. So that's been kind of fun. One of my concerns right now, and one of the reasons I was heavily involved when we changed from a 3-county commission to the current system that we're in now. If you guys remember, years ago, we had a 3-member commission. And a lot of people felt like they didn't really have a say. They felt disenfranchised. They felt like they had no voice on that council. And so there was a move and the vote passed that we became a county council with a mayor and a council format of government. I was involved in that years ago. And one of the main reasons why we did that was because we felt like there wasn't enough transparency. We couldn't go to meetings. Meetings were held during the day. We struggled with, not everybody can take time off to go to a meeting and be there during the day. Not everybody can get their voices heard when you don't have representation from your area. And so that was a concern at the time, and that was one of the reasons why I was involved. The other thing that, another reason why I'm getting involved now is for that same reason, transparency. There's a lot going on at Salt Lake County that they're just not as transparent as they need to be about. Their meetings are at noon for their working meetings and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And most people can't, I'm barely getting out of school if I'm lucky at 4 o'clock. I'm lucky if I get out at 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock sometimes because we're running shows and things like that. But it's very difficult to attend meetings unless I take time off. And so it's kind of an interesting thing. So that's one of my concerns is the transparency of what's going on. Another concern I have.
Lori, I'm sorry, we're out of time.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
We're over the 4 minutes. Thank you.
Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you. So our next speaker is also a candidate for County Council at Large, Shireen Gorbani. Shireen, are you on the call? Shireen, are you with us?
I'm not seeing her, Will.
Okay, we'll maybe come back to her if she pops. We'll go to our next candidate, which is Rochelle Hobbs, our county recorder. She's running for re-election. Rochelle, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Can you see and hear me, Will?
We can hear you and see you. Thank you.
All right, wonderful. I'm Rochelle Hobbs, and I'm running for re-election as your Salt Lake County recorder. Many people ask what the county recorder's office does. Simply put, we record every transaction that has to do with real property. We maintain a database of over 14 million documents. This year so far, we have already recorded over 190,000 documents, and we are on target to have a record-setting year in recordation. We do all of this with 42 employees, and I am confident that I have the hardest working team in Salt Lake County. This year alone, we'll be earning 14 million, all in user fees, no tax dollars. In recent months, our homes have taken on the added role of classrooms, office, and a refuge from this virus. To protect your property record, we have launched a new free service called Property Watch. This service notifies Salt Lake County property owners when something is recorded on their property. This is a great resource that will help prevent title fraud while protecting your property record, and offers peace of mind, which is something that I think we all could use a little more of right now. We currently have over 8,600 Property Watch registrants, which I'm just pinching myself over because we just launched this in March with the goal of hopefully getting to 10,000 at the end of the year. And then we're on target to meet that goal. So I'm really excited about that. We also created Property Watch internally in the recorder's office, saving taxpayers thousands of dollars, sorry. If you're to visit the Salt Lake County Recorder's website, you'll see the link to Property Watch. And once you've clicked on that, there's 3 steps: your name and email address and address, and then we'll notify you going forward of anything that's recorded on your property. So it's really that easy. And then once you subscribe, you'll get a confirmation from my office. And then going forward, anything recorded on your property, you'll be notified. I would like to thank the Sugar House Community Council for giving me the opportunity to present Property Watch for the very first time on our June 3rd meeting. I just had my last city council meeting with Taylorsville this evening to talk about Property Watch. So it's kind of funny how it's come full circle. I've tried to attend every city and community council and Metro Township meeting to promote and spread the word about Property Watch. Like I said, we just did our last one. Community outreach and service is also very important to me. We visited all 16 Salt Lake County senior centers last year, and we're able to provide free property record research for the seniors. And then also there is a free property record search link on my website. So if you need a free copy of your property record, that is also available on my website. And then I would just like to close by saying that the work in the recorder's office is essential and protecting your property record is critical. I have the experience of over 17 years in public service. I have the leadership which protects the title of your home with Property Watch while keeping this office open safely during a pandemic with no interruption of service. I am fiscally responsible with no tax dollars in this office while saving your tax dollars by generating a $7 million surplus, which goes to the county general fund to pay for vital county services. I would be honored to earn your vote this November general election. And just remember Rochelle for recorder, and then I'll put my website in the chat box below. Thank you for your time, Will. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Rochelle. We appreciate you taking the time to join us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And our next candidate is Carol Hunter. Carol, I believe I saw you on the call.
Yes, I'm right here.
Wonderful. You can go ahead and start.
Trying to get, there I am. I have to apologize. I have asthma, and as we all can tell, the air is not the cleanest right now, so please forgive my voice. I want to first thank Landon and Will for arranging this opportunity, and I think the most important thing you can know about me at this juncture is I sit in front of Landon at the University of Utah football games, and my sister was the developer of the costume apartment buildings on 11th and 17th. So I hope that bodes well for me as we discuss today. I'm seeking to represent District 28 in the House of Representatives. I live on 13th South across from UNA Elementary School with the very interesting front door. I entered the workforce in 1977 with a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, and later I obtained a business administration degree from the University of Utah. Over the next 36 years, I held a number of breakthrough positions in planning, wholesale marketing, community and economic development, and finally energy efficiency, where I was responsible for the development and implementation of Rocky Mountain Power's WhatSmart program. In my various roles, I've had an opportunity to work with and testify before city, county, and state leaders across 6 states as technical and policy witness on a variety of issues. I retired as a vice president in 2013 to be with my husband until his death in 2014. After a 2-year hiatus, which I took to heal from the loss of my husband, I entered the workforce once again, this time as a consultant. My most important, if I had anything to say, legacy project at Rocky Mountain Power was the WhatSmart Energy Efficiency Program. The concept which rose out of a nonprofit organization in the East Liberty Park area. As a 20-something, I was given the opportunity to work with East Liberty Park Neighborhood Housing Program. The goal of the program was to help individuals with home ownership. After a number of visits to the homes of fixed income residents in the area, I was struck by the realization that as a utility, we were building new power plants to meet growing needs of Utah residents and businesses, while at the same time, energy was being wasted due to poor insulation, windows, and heating systems. Having grown up in rural area, I lacked discretion, and I approached senior management of Utah Power. I had a simple request. I wanted to start an initiative to help customers become more efficient. Surprisingly, they didn't laugh me out of the room, although they did say that they were in the business of selling energy, not conserving it. And they gave me the opportunity to present my concept to the board of directors, where I received conditional approval. I then went to the regulators and received approval for a limited program targeting low-income households. They admonished me before I left that day that before I returned with another great idea, I needed to learn how to monetize the value of the energy savings. Consequently, the Master's in Business Administration followed shortly after that. In 2019 alone, Rocky Mountain Power invested close to $50 million in energy efficiency and peak demand programs. The benefit to the customers totaled close to $150 million, excluding the environmental benefits. It's important for you to know that there were many people and organizations that helped shape the WhatSmart program. I did not accomplish this alone. In fact, at best, I was an informal leader. Utah Clean Energy, Heal Utah, Western Resource Advocates, the Committee of Consumer Services, Utah Industrial Customers, and the state legislators all played important roles. You see, a single ant cannot move the rubber tree plant. If we're going to make a difference in the areas important to our community, we need to work together. And most importantly, we need to have all of our voices heard in the room where decisions are made. As I've driven through our community, I've been struck by the volume and speed of traffic. This is especially true on 21st South between 17th East and 21st East. Think, Landon, that's pretty close to your home. Parents have gone to the expense of purchasing signs asking all of us to slow down to protect their children. As you are aware, the road is 2 lanes in each direction without parking. While historically the city has attempted to enforce the speed limit in the area, the effectiveness has been limited.
Carol?
I believe that working together, we can identify a way to calm the traffic. Given this district's support, I believe the legislature would earmark funds for improvements necessary to safeguard our environment for our
Carol?
children.
Well, you're about a minute over time, so. we're gonna have
Okay. I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity, Will.
Okay, thank you, Carol. We appreciate you joining us. So our next speaker tonight is Jennifer Frescus, who's running for county assessor. Jennifer, you there?
I am here, yes. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. As Will said, I'm Jennifer Frescus, and I'm running for Salt Lake County Assessor. I have worked in the assessor's office for over 12 and a half years. before coming to the assessor's office, I didn't know who the assessor was, and I had no idea what the assessor's office did. I have since learned that many people are in that same boat. So I'll give you a very brief rundown. We handle the personal property taxes for businesses, but our main objective is putting fair market value on all real property. So basically we're looking for the value that your property would sell for homes, commercial buildings, industrial buildings, vacant land. And then they use that value to determine your property tax. So we don't actually determine the property tax or the tax rate, but we do try to get your fair market value. So I have a bachelor's degree in accounting, which means I understand the numbers. I'm also a certified general appraiser, which is the top licensing that the state gives. So I understand valuation. As I said, I've been there 12 and a half years and I've worked my way up through the ranks. I spent quite a bit of time getting to know my fellow employees, and I've listened to their issues and concerns, and I've had many of their same issues and concerns. And after bringing those issues to management's attention, to the top administration, to our current assessor and chief deputy, I got a lot of smiles and nods and not a lot of action. And I finally determined if I was going to make positive change, I had to run for assessor and make change. So even though I've never thrown my hat in for politics, I'm throwing myself out there this year to go out and make change. I would like to get out to the public and explain to all of you exactly what we do. And if we get it wrong, because unfortunately we are human and there are 370,000 parcels that we have to value each year, we're going to get it wrong sometimes. And if we do, we want to hear from you so that you can appeal that value and we can get it right. I'm very passionate about getting the value right, particularly for the multi-million, $100 million properties. I want to make sure that we're getting that right, because if we aren't, then that tax issue, then the tax responsibility lands on all of us. You and I, the regular homeowners, we have to take on that burden when it should have been taken on by the larger building, the commercial building that's $100 million property. So if they come in and appeal it and they get it lowered when it shouldn't have been, then that falls on all of us. So I'm really passionate about making sure that that's right and about reaching out to taxpayers so they understand how we can help. And I'm passionate about helping our employees. So that's why I'm out here. I think it's time for a fresh perspective in our office. I would love to earn your vote. I'm going to put my information into the chat box. So if you want more information about me, please check it out and reach out if you have questions. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Jennifer. We appreciate it. Our next candidate is County Treasurer Wayne Cushing. Wayne, are you on the call?
I am here. Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. Feel free to go ahead and start.
Okay, so thank you again for Sugar House. Sugar House rocks. I was born and raised in Sugar House. Went to some elementary schools that are no longer around. Anybody remember Forest Elementary? Probably not. Oh, somebody does. Great. Okay, I was elected as your county treasurer in 2010, largely because of my financial, business, and educational experience. For example, I was got a master's of accounting from the University of Utah, became a CPA, became an auditor, audited large government entities, for example, like Salt Lake City. Then went into the private world as a controller, a CFO, and all those, and actually ended up as a CFO of a large HVAC contractor in Clearfield, Utah. When we sold that company, I was asked to run for county treasurer to replace Larry Richardson, who was retiring. So I was elected in 2010, re-elected in 2014, not because of my background, but because of what we did those 4 years. For example, one of the things we first noticed when I came into office is that there was one way for the county treasurer to actually affect your property taxes. And that was by doing a better collection rate. When we got on board in 2010, the collection rate was 95.9%, which is actually pretty good, one of the best in the state. But we figured out ways to get that even higher. So last year, our collection rate was 97.9%. 2% increase. So what does that mean? We bill $1.5 billion in taxes. That 2% increase in collection rate actually means that we don't have to bill an additional 30 million. So you think about what we've done over the last 10 years, 30 million a year is quite impressive. Number two, Salt Lake County Treasurer's Office handles tax relief. What that means is if somebody comes into our office, they apply and qualify, they get tax relief. But we decided to take that a step further. We said there's got to be a lot of people in the county who deserve tax relief, but have not or do not know about it. So what we did is we started going to all the senior centers, senior expos, met with charities, religious organizations to get the word out, and we tremendously increased the number of those who qualify. Now, finally, cost cutting. What can we do to cut costs in our office? We initiated 5 years ago an e-billing program. So those who opt in can actually get their property tax notice by email. I don't know if anybody out there got theirs this past week, but this year there's 360,000 mailings we would have had to send, but we were able to do 55,000 of those by email. So if they open the email, we don't have to send them a notice. So that's what we've done in the cost cutting area. So what are we going to do in the future? My goal is 98% collection. We've come some close the past few years. This year might be tough with COVID, but we're still going to try. We also want to increase our e-billing numbers. But most of all this year, I'm working with Senator Davis from Salt Lake County to try to improve the tax relief program. And by doing so, there's two ways we're going to do that. Number one, right now, if you're over 66 years of age and your earnings are less than 34,000, you qualify for tax relief. But we're going to try to raise that up to 37,000 so more people qualify. And then also eliminate some of the barriers that are currently there on the income levels. For example, if you have somebody living in your home to take care of an elderly person, you don't have to include their income in that calculation. So those are some of the things we're going to do in the future if I'm elected. I appreciate the support we received in the past. I'm asking your support again in 2020 to vote for Kay Wayne Cushing, Salt Lake County Treasurer. And finally, stay safe, be smart, and be well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wayne. We appreciate it. So our next speaker is going to be Michael McDonald. Michael is also running for the position of Salt Lake County Treasurer. And then I did see that Councilwoman Shireen Ghorbani hopped on the call. We'll get to you right after that, Shireen. So Michael, if you're with us, please feel free to go ahead.
I'm here. How's my microphone?
Sounds good to me.
Fantastic. So I'm Michael McDonald, and I am running for Salt Lake County Treasurer. I really liked Wayne's comment about being smart. With my kids, I'd always say, be smart, be safe before they left the house, and it's so important these days. My background is actually in software engineering. I started out at BYU in electrical engineering, moved on to software engineering because I just loved programming. And my first job was actually writing accounting software. So I write the kind of software they use at the treasurer's office. I've also written full tax systems and been team lead on that operation as well. I went from being just a programmer all the way up to being a chief technology officer for 15 years for a leadership development company. And I've worked with the biggest financial and international banks in the world, including Wells Fargo, Fidelity, and organizations like that, AT&T, cancer companies, et cetera, where personal information especially, is incredibly important to protect. So I understand all of those things. The main reason when I was asked if I was interested in running for this office, I started to dig in and do my due diligence. And what I discovered was over the past 11 years or so, the county spent about $10 million. And I think it's actually more, someone showed up at my office today to give me a little bit more information about that. But $10 million trying to upgrade their systems. The treasurer's office currently runs on pretty antiquated computers, a mainframe. And in an effort to kind of get more secure and integrated systems for doing accounting between the different departments like Jennifer and Rochelle, they contracted with a company called Colorado Customware. Now, Colorado Customware took about $6 million and went bankrupt. And Harris, a company called Harris, acquired them, and they took about another $4 million. But at the end of all that effort, unfortunately, we ended up with no software. And this isn't a reflection on anybody personally. I think it's managing large software projects is a difficult thing. It takes a certain set of skills. And I think that Harris and Colorado Customware just didn't quite do it right, and the people holding them accountable didn't quite understand what was happening. So the reason I'm running is for that. All the reasons that my opponent just spoke about, tax relief and so forth, are incredibly important. But in the end, we need to make sure that our information is secure, that we're running on modern systems that integrate, that we aren't doing double posting and making this a sort of economically sound process. So I want to get in there and make sure that we have all of these systems updated out of the 1970s and into the 21st century. We can't afford to spend another $10 million in another decade trying to get our systems up to speed. So that's the main part of my platform. Additionally, I think that tax relief is incredibly important. When I do software development, we like to look at a bunch of different personalities, and one that I always think of is my grandmother. And I think about tax relief and how would she be able to even discover that this is available, to go through the bureaucratic process and so forth. I have some really great ideas, I think, of very non-technological methods like Meals on Wheels, for example, and helping volunteers get information out to our target demographic for tax relief. Couldn't agree more that that's incredibly important, especially now. And finally, I think that that customer service and finding new secure ways, easy ways, and not having long call wait times at the treasurer's office and so forth is incredibly important as well. We're taxpayers, we're customers essentially, and making sure that we can easily and safely and securely help people is incredibly important. So I really appreciate the opportunity to speak here, and I hope to win your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. We appreciate it. Next up to speak is County Councilwoman Shireen Ghorbani, who is up for re-election in County Council at Large Seat A. Shireen, please feel free to go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry I was not on exactly when I was allotted my time. I'm grateful for you hanging in there for me, though. I have the honor of representing you on the Salt Lake County Council, and I would love to be able to earn your vote this fall as well. I'm a person who got into politics in 2016 after losing my mom to pancreatic cancer and just really understanding how quickly families could lose everything with one diagnosis. That sent me to hundreds of doors across this state, actually, and many were right here in Salt Lake County, where I talked to residents who were struggling with access to mental health care, getting addiction treatment services, finding housing, just simply not being able to find a home. And all of those issues really, when I had the opportunity to run for a council seat, so many of the issues that I heard, so many of the concerns that I heard at the doors were really the duties and role of an effective county government. So I've been proud to serve this past year and a half, coming up on 2 years, finishing out the previous term and now running for a full term on the county council. And some of the things that I've prioritized in this time include moving forward a resolution that helps residents of unincorporated Salt Lake County move to 100% renewable energy by 2030, really working to protect workers, finding ways that we can invest and really retain talent in our county, and then also really fighting for the ways that we can expand access to mental health care and addiction treatment services. It's so nice to see so many friendly faces here this evening. Thank you for staying engaged in your community level council. This is such an important element of our local government, and I know that you have many good ideas when it comes to our RDA dollars coming back into your community, road and infrastructure ideas, and certainly some of addressing some of the large scale infrastructure needs that we have here in this county. So I'll just say I'm so thankful for the opportunity to serve. It's an honor and a privilege to represent you on the Salt Lake County Council. You can learn more about me at Team Shireen. Kept it simple this time because Ghorbani is not that easy. So TEAMSHIREEN.com, or you can come and follow along. It is my full name, Shireen Gorbani, on social media. Happy to respond to any questions that you have over those platforms, and hope I'm able to earn your vote this fall.
Thank you, Shireen. We appreciate it. Next to speak is Representative Brian King. Brian, are you on the call?
Yes, I think I am. Am I?
We hear you loud and clear.
Thanks very much. It's great to be with you this evening. I've always been impressed over the years with the Sugar House Community Council's involvement and participation in issues. It's a wonderful work that you do. Thank you. I've served in the legislature since 2009. I'm currently representing House District 28, which is everything east of 13th East and everything north of I-80. A good part of the Sugar House Community Council, not all of it, but a good part of it is in the district. I'm also serving as the leader of the House Democratic Caucus and have since 2015. You know, y'all know up at the legislature, we deal with just this wide variety of issues that really is important for Utahns on a day-to-day basis, everything from public education to passing legislation to clean up our air and our water, to making sure that we've got economic development that's going to allow us to continue to live the kind of lives that we have here in Utah, to making sure that we have access to Medicare, Medicaid expansion, making sure that we have good streets to drive on. We've had some issues on I-80 and the road noise that I've been working on the last couple of years. I have a lot of issues that I care about that I think are directly relevant to what we in House District 28 care about. One of them that I've done quite a bit of work on is gun violence reduction and prevention, passing laws to ensure that we have a greater likelihood of reducing domestic violence. I ran a bill that funded a study that we had that was undertaken by the Department of Health and the Department of Public Health at Harvard University a few years ago that revealed some really fascinating information about how gun deaths occur. And in Utah, particularly, over 85% of the deaths that come from guns are suicide deaths. We didn't know that before we funded that study and undertook it. And since that, getting that information about the prevalence of suicides, we've been able to undertake some legislation up at the Capitol that have reduced those numbers or will reduce those numbers a lot. And so I've been working on mental health issues quite a bit to ensure that we have better access to affordable mental health care, substance abuse treatment across this state. And those issues deal with affordable housing, they deal with homelessness. I mean, when you, the more you look at it and the more you learn, and you all know this because you're on this call and you care about these issues, the more you realize just how interrelated these things are, how critically important it is that we not just isolate one thing and focus on that without recognizing that it's all part of a tied together weave of wonderful things that we're all trying to improve in our society and in our lives. So I won't go on, but there are a lot of issues that I care about, a lot of issues that I'm going to be working on in the coming session. I hope to be able to be working on in the coming session if I'm reelected, and I would appreciate very much your support. My contact information, I've got my cell phone numbers out there. You can call it. I would welcome any contact from anyone. I try and make sure that I have good responses to emails and to texts and cell phone calls. My cell phone number is 801-560-0769. I'll put it in the chat box also. Thanks again for your invitation to speak tonight. And thank you for all you're doing for our neighborhood, for our community, for our state.
Thank you, Representative. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us tonight. Our next speaker is Representative Joel Briscoe. Joel, are you there?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Great, wonderful. Joel Briscoe, I've been a member of the Utah House of Representatives since 2010. District 25 is divided from Representative King down 13th East and then I-80. So if you're west of 13th East and north of I-80, you're in District 25. I'm a retired public school teacher. In the early 1980s, I was arrested in Washington, D.C., protesting apartheid in front of the South African embassy. In the 2000s, I was an advisor at the high school I taught at to a Gay Straight Alliance. I served 4 years on the Salt Lake City School Board. I believe that Black Lives Matter. I believe that public schools matter. I believe that clean air matters. I believe that climate change matters. I believe that healthcare for every Utahn matters. I am a co-founder and a co-chair of the Utah Clean Air Caucus. I sponsored legislation 2 years ago that created a pilot program this winter. If we get some bad inversions, the pilot program will pay for UTA transit so that on bad air days, people who can't work from home can ride public transit without paying. I've sponsored a bill to spend $100 million on affordable housing. I sponsored legislation to tax carbon, to tax pollution in Utah. I'm doing research on diesel emissions. I passed legislation so that 17-year-olds can vote in primary elections if they're 18 years old before the election. And last summer, I also sponsored a water audit of the watering of the grass on Capitol Hill that showed if they fix their watering problems and change the way they water in July and August, that we could save between 30 and 35% of the water we use on Capitol Hill. I'm going to try and expand that to other state properties. So those are the kind of things I work on. Because we're not having Q&A, let me see if I can answer some questions. I'm in favor of a statewide mask order. I think the state has not been transparent enough in how they've spent money and how they've made decisions. I think the current people making decisions about the pandemic in Utah are not focused enough on public health. And I think if we dealt with public health first, that the business would follow. I don't believe in defunding the police. What I do believe in is having a long discussion about whether or not the police need tear gas, the police need riot gear, and the police need military vehicles, and whether they need to be equipped like their US military. Some of that money could be spent on programs that help us respond better to parents who have 13-year-old sons who are autistic and don't need a policeman with a gun chasing them, but they need someone else who understands. When it comes to repealing the port, the real issue is whether the state or Salt Lake City will develop the Northwest Quadrant. My preference would be that Salt Lake City be in charge. I've done some research with officials and people in the state of California who are knowledgeable about the Long Beach and LA ports, where I'm told 60% of all the goods from East Asia come into the United States. They are committed to electrifying their port, doing everything they can to make everything inside that port electric. We're making a huge mistake in Utah. If we build a port based on fossil fuel technology and then later decide to make it electric, we should make it electric from the word go. And a particular concern to me, given what we're doing in developing a new prison, a new port, and developing an area where there's currently a prison, is whether we are using the cleanest non-road diesel technology in California. They will only allow the cleanest diesel non-road vehicles to be used. If we're really serious about clean air in Utah, we will do the same in Utah. I'm really glad that there's all these people online. On the night there was something else going on that was kind of important, sort of important compared to Sugar House Community Council. Good to see Will and everyone else. I put my email and my phone number over on the right. Please give me a call or text me.
We appreciate it, and we appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us.
You bet.
Our next speaker is Jeremiah Clark. I saw Jeremiah on the call. Are you here, Jeremiah?
I am here.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for joining us, and you can go ahead and start when you're ready.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks to all of you. I appreciate this privilege to introduce myself. This must be a marathon night for you. I am appreciative. I'm Jeremiah Clark. It was traumatic in junior high school when Jeremiah Was a Bullfrog was the #1 song, but I've come to peace with that. I appreciate and have personal interest in all that you do for the community. I really love Sugar House. I have boyhood memories of sledding at Sugar House Park and summers riding my bike to swim, and this will date me, at Hygeia. Hygeia Ice Company had the best community swimming pool in the state and a winter ice rink near where the Chick-fil-A is now located. Well, it was a great place then, and it still is. I was excited and participated last week in the Facebook Live event about developing and cycling and pedestrian-friendly areas in Sugar House and a public transit system between Sugar House and Mill Creek and Holiday, all of which is a part of District 40, which I'm hoping to represent. The part of Sugar House in District 40 is south of I-80, so I estimate it's 35–40% of Sugar House. I am new to politics. I've never run for public office. I'm an educator. I've been 34 years with the church educational system of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I have a master's degree in education, a PhD in sociology. I taught nearly 18 years in the classroom, and the rest has been in administration. I directed all of the LDS Church's high school and university campus programs on the East Coast. I've recently had some responsibility for church schools in Tonga and Fiji and Samoa, Kiribati, as well as seminary and institute programs in parts of Africa, Japan, Korea, and Europe. This last January, I announced my intention to retire at the end of the year. My employer was gracious and gave me the opportunity to end my teaching career teaching. I'm presently at the Institute of Religion at the University of Utah. As I said, I'm new to politics. I'm eager to use my experience to help us work together to shape our future. I'm running for the Utah State House of Representatives to represent constituents. When my wife and I returned to Utah, Rachel wanted to live by her parents. It wasn't easy to find a house in an established neighborhood walking distance from her parents. We found one online and committed to purchase before we saw it in person. It's really turned out wonderful. Rachel was close to and was the primary caretaker for her dad in his final years, and she now loves, in fact, we both love being near and supporting her 91-year-old widowed mother. Maybe some of you saw a story on KSL and KUTV about a corgi parade fit for a queen. That was Rachel's mother. I really love our community, our great state, our rich diversity. It's really a privilege to be your friend and neighbor and to have grown up here. I'm eager to listen and learn, to represent you and be your voice, be the constituents' voice in shaping our future together. Some of the pressing needs I see are improving air quality, managing growth. I'm grateful for what Joel just shared with us. We are going to grow. We need to embrace diversity, sustain our parks, trails, and canyons, improve our mental health care, and build trust between the police and the communities they serve. After a career in teaching, I'm a fence mender, consensus builder, and innovator. I published more about me on votejeremiah.com. Hope you'll take a look. If what I stand for resonates with you, I'll appreciate your vote. Thanks for having me tonight.
Thank you, Jeremiah. We appreciate it. We'll be moving on to our last candidate for the evening, and that's Representative Stephanie Pitcher.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Thanks so much for having me and for organizing this event. It's really nice to see a turnout, as others have said, especially on a night such as tonight, where there's been a local debate in town. I am running for re-election for House District 40. House District 40 covers parts of Mill Creek and Salt Lake City, as well as a little bit of Holiday. I ran my first election in 2018, so I'll just be completing my first term. I'm a mom of 3 girls. I have 3 children that are in the public school system in Granite School District. I also work as a prosecutor in Davis County. I'm a prosecutor who believes strongly in compassionate criminal justice reform. I wholeheartedly support Black Lives Matter and the movement for racial justice and acknowledging the inequities in our system. This past session, I ran a pretty important piece of legislation that reforms our cash bail system here in Utah. And so previously, when someone is arrested and taken into custody, they're basically booked on a charge, and there's a amount set for the level of offense, with really no consideration of the risk levels that that individual poses or their ability to pay. And so the bill that I worked on and ultimately passed now asks judges to ask important questions about whether this individual actually poses a risk to the community, whether they can be released on least restrictive conditions that would account for public safety, but would also uphold their right to equal protection and due process. And it imposes a guideline for judges to, if they are going to use cash bail, to consider an individual's ability to pay. I'm proud of that legislation. I think it addresses one important problem that I see in my own practice, which is the over prosecution of minorities in our criminal justice system. And I think that this bill will help to keep low risk individuals out of jail while we focus on incarcerating the people that actually pose a risk to our communities, a public safety risk. It's been interesting to be in the legislature, but also experience the pandemic as a single mom. I know a thing or two about helping your kids through the process and navigating schoolwork online, and the challenges that our teachers face in attempting to educate our children while keeping people safe. And I'm interested in continuing to work on these issues at the legislature. I'll also be working on additional issues addressing public safety. We know that domestic violence rates are going up right now with so many people at home, and victims in close proximity to offenders. And without people working, there's a higher likelihood that people will experience domestic violence. And so I'm working on some issues this coming session to address those types of needs. Other issues are on my website, and I'm happy to take any questions here in the chat, or you can call me on my cell phone. I'll put that number in the chat box. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, Stephanie. We really appreciate it. So that's it for our Meet the Candidate event. I appreciate all the candidates that took time to meet with us tonight. I know many would probably be watching the debate normally, or out knocking on doors, or getting campaign signs out. So it's a big ask to take a little time away from the campaign trail, and we really do appreciate it as a community council. So Landon, I'll turn the time back over to you, and thanks again, everyone.
Well, thanks, Will, for putting that together, and thanks to all the candidates for joining us. And meeting adjourned. Thank you.